Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to Real World, episode 2, Mavryk's new RWA podcast series, where we break down the biggest shifts shaping the future of real world assets. Before we dive in, here's a little disclaimer. This podcast is for educational and entertainment purposes only. We're not financial advisors. Nothing here is a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any cryptocurrency or digital asset. Cryptocurrency is a highly volatile and speculative market. You can lose all your invested capital. So do your own research and consult qualified financial professionals before making any investment decisions. You are solely responsible for your own investment decisions. Always conduct your due diligence and consult with a financial professional. I would like to now invite our guests, Matthias Childress, Mavryk's CMO, and Alex Davies, Mavryk's founder and CEO. How are you guys today?
Muskan, I don't know. We need intern. See, I ruined it.
Oh my lord!
Intern. That's the second time I've done that. I did that in the first one as well.
What?
It's the first minute, Matt.
I'm so
By the way,
confused.
we've got to find a way that notifies you when we're live. We'll get better. We're getting better, guys. So, hello to everyone. Hello to everyone out there in the X universe. As mentioned, my name is Matthias Childress. I am the CMO, and intern always does a great job. Thank you for that introduction. We also have with us today, very luckily, and it's his first time on our new setup podcast, our captain, founder and CEO, Alex Davies. How are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. A lot of hilarious things all happening at once. So,
How
we
do
were
you
kept
feel?
backstage. I wasn't even able to use my life coach joke.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, do you want to say it now? You can say it.
Well, now it's kind of a little long in tooth. I'll throw it in there somewhere later.
Oh,
I'm back. I lost you guys for a second.
What is happening?
Here we go. Watch out.
The internet's been terrible for me today, both on mobile and at the office.
Yeah, it's been hard. Sorry, guys. I'll have to. Yep, I'll unfortunately have to. There's something going wrong with my background and stuff, and I'll just leave it there. So that's fine. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to be off camera, but yeah, yeah. So not about the joke, but I'm gonna just dive straight into it because we got what this is meant to be. By the way, guys, this is the Real World podcast, as you know. Basically, this is just to give a quick update more about, keeping Mavryk in mind, keeping in conversation with our community, more importantly, and making sure that people are up to date with not just the industry and what's going on, but aware who are the players in the industry, but also what's going on with the Mavryk project itself. So, Al, a big piece of news today, if you want to kick us off. I know that you just told us that this was just a quite new announcement. What's happened here with Mantra?
That news, not the unmanned drone I'm tracking over Oman. The apparently JP just came out with a very long form tweet announcing that they're downsizing Mantra, getting rid of a lot of staff for the betterment of the Mantra, the chain, and everything that's going on over there. I have a lot to say about this, but I think it's really, I guess, things you shouldn't say publicly. It's interesting. I find it very, it shouldn't be surprising, but again, this is something that they kind of knew their financial situation after the crash last year. And so it really begs to question what really is the status of the chain. I don't know what's happened with their token, but quite honestly, we don't really have an update of anything that's going on the RWA side there. So this comes, it's a lot of words without a lot of context. So it's surprising. I'm actually going to go check out what Om is doing now. Om is surprisingly, let's see, 24 hours. Fine. So it's a good question to see what kind of happens to them from here on out. Really curious who's getting let go from Mantra, especially on the BD side if they're in Dubai.
Yeah, what departments, yeah.
So BD marketing, Matt, marketing as you say is the first to go.
Marketing's the first guys that'll go. If things aren't going well, marketing's the first guys that'll go. Look,
To
and
be
not to
fair, you did say they did write business development first before
well,
marketing.
there you go. There you go. I mean, it's part of the same. It's part of the same kind of, I guess, work stream. So it's not too far off. But in all
Yeah,
honesty,
don't look up Matt's LinkedIn, guys, because it's literally marketing and BD.
exactly right. But yeah, no, this is really sad to hear. I think, Al. Like, I mean, everyone, when when the major crash happened with them, that what it's just not good for the industry, is it? And like at the end of the day, this story doesn't get any better. There's no bounce back. There's really, it's very hard to see them coming back from this. And I really do wish them all the best, as we all do at Maverick, and hope that something can happen. But it seems like a very tough position, and I think that this kind of needs to be now kind of left as it is, and then hopefully wish for the best for all the employees there, and see where the project can go. But yeah, we'll leave it there. But good highlight there. Not great, but it's something that needs to be
Well, I think
kind of
when it comes to what happened with Mantra, I think it's very interesting because it really leaves, it shows where the speculative hype on RWA platforms can go, because there weren't any actual RWAs deployed on Mantra at any point. But
yeah,
and it actually, it's interesting. It highlights something that we're going to talk about later, which is like the market cap of the RWA industry. They throw in a lot of assets that really shouldn't be considered RWAs, but let's call them
yeah,
RWA adjacent. So the fall of Mantra, or the fall of Ohm, which almost sounds like a
oh
Halo episode.
yeah,
But the fall of Ohm, I think, really highlighted one, where RWA adjacent platforms and companies can go. But two, it left a vacuum in the market that's still not been answered yet. So,
yeah.
insert Maverick and the rest of this podcast.
Yeah, and I think that's a great segue into what we're going to cover now. That is, basically what we do. Start, this is big news that just came out from JP now, so we wanted to make sure that people are aware of this news. But more importantly, the way that we start the show is really just to cover the industry stats, how we're looking in the industry. Now, if you remember on December 11th in our previous podcast, the market was, and we always do a range, and it's because we look at two data sets, being RWA XYZ, and big shout out to RWA XYZ. Great job on what you're doing. Really great platform statistics. You can find out pretty much everything RWA that's going on, and they really do focus on RWA projects. And then the other one is what we look at is CoinGecko, and that's kind of where we do the range, because there's like Alex said, there's a little bit discrepancy about who should be in RWA and who should not. So really interesting. Just a quick snapshot. On December 11th, the market was at 37 billion to 54 billion. Now in January 14th, there's really exciting news. There's been an all-time high. That shout out to the RWA industry. We're moving in the right direction. That's now gone to 21 billion to 57 billion. So that's really exciting to see. And basically, that's, the market moving in that right direction. Al, do you have anything to kind of touch on that? I know that we look at these two data sets, especially on RWXYZ. What's really nice about them is that they break it down into not just distributed asset value, but the represented value that is RWAs. And I know that you know about this a lot, but RWA tokens using blockchain as a record keeping layer, and enhancing transparency. They kind of give us some really good stats, but from an industry point of view, here we've got a platform that shows what I would say is the realest RWA projects out there and any aspect of RWAs. But then we go into CoinMarketCap, where they break it down into RWA protocols and stuff like that. That kind of show us that, there's obviously a big player Link, and shout out to Link. They're absolutely great as always, but obviously, are they, should they be in the RWA category? It takes up a lot of space. And, what are your thoughts around where the market is, who the players are, and all that?
Well, actually, it's very interesting because RWA, .xyz does a lot of great work in terms of tracking RWAs, but at the same time, for example, if you go back to here, real estate's not there. Maybe it's kind of like under the blanket of some other label, but there's private credit, institutional, alternative assets, public equity, non-U.S. government. I'm assuming treasuries.
Yeah.
private equity, actively managed, corporate bonds, and then U.S. Treasuries underneath the river kind of thing that I've got showing your screen. But
Yeah.
it's I think really what we're missing in the RWA space is a definition of what is considered an RWA, because when you look at it and it's like, okay, well, 624,109 asset holders of 365.13 billion in assets. And, you know, we really, between you and me, and I guess everybody watching this, there's not $365 billion in RWAs tokenized on chain. It looks nice as a number. I mean, if you consider stablecoins an RWA, I really wouldn't really consider stablecoins RWAs. Again, it's tokenized fiat currencies or treasuries, really, for that matter. Again, it's one of those things where it's like RWA adjacent. When you think about the private capital markets or private asset markets, private equity markets, you're not thinking about the dollar value in it as counting towards the transaction itself. So let's say, for example, if you buy a home, right, and $1 million was transacted, it's $1 million the value of that home because $1 million was given over. But you're not, when you add stable coins to the total RWA market, what you're kind of doing almost in a way is double counting. I know one's on a transactional volume as opposed to like digitized volume, but you don't count that $1 million purchase was a $2 million in volume, right? Because technically 1 million went this way and 1 million of value went the other way. I think really stable coins kind of should be kept out of this because, if you look at it and you say 624,000 holders, okay, what platform are they using? Because I don't know any RWA platform that could claim that they've got more than 10,000 users, 20,000 users. So it's and let alone at that, a real RWA platform that is really transacting in those volumes. So it's a little bit of like hyper inflated on the numbers. Now, if you go back to the Coin Gecko one,
Yeah.
right? So you look at that and it's like, okay, well, all real world assets, if you look at the numbers, it's 56.97 billion on the market cap side. Then you've got RWA protocol, right? Which is about again, this is what I call RWA adjacent, right? Mavryk would be considered, the Mavryk token, MVRK would be considered RWA protocol in this category. And then you've got tokenized assets, but that amounts to, 22 billion, right? And again, you've got stable coins in there. So it's not really tokenized assets, but tokenized currencies. So then, but you got 22 billion on the RWA protocol and assets, which is a breakdown of all RWAs. And you've got a missing like 30 something, 40 something billion dollars worth of quote unquote RWAs. So where are they? So clearly this breakdown heat map is not accurate. Now putting the accuracy piece aside, if you click on RWA protocol, right, Link is, I don't know, 85% of the screen on that part on the heat map. I don't know why Link is considered an RWA protocol. It is an Oracle provider and cross-chain, CCIP, it's cross-chain. But what are they actually doing with RWAs outside of a marketing initiative? So I don't see in any capacity why Link should be there. Ondo, all the power to them, tokenizing treasuries. But
Big
I
shout out to
don't, yeah, so it's, if you kind of removed Link, which doesn't really have anything to do with RWAs really, outside of a marketing ploy, what do you have really on the RWA heat map? This to me highlights that RWAs are currently being used as a marketing ploy more than they are in terms of actual business. So it's going to be really interesting to me because, to take a look at who are the real players actually moving things and getting it done in terms of tokenization. Tokenization is it's a very undefined term, right? RWA is a very undefined term. So that will settle out. You're going to have this wide expansion of everybody wanting to use the term, and then it's going to consolidate again as you kind of see who's really doing things and who's not.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think the duplication in numbers, it's still a big thing. You can see that in RWAXYZ as well. I think the truest number is maybe this 21.07 billion. I think that's kind of where the reality is. But to your point, Al, even real estate's not here yet. And we know of plenty of real estate players in the tokenized field that kind of really should be in here already, and they're actually not. And obviously there's that concern of the filtering. Like the industry is still kind of moving away
It's
from,
nascent.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
nascent. It's
Yeah,
just
it's nascent,
super early for RWAs
super.
still. So anyone is just trying to stake a claim without doing anything.
And to think about it now, like in 2022, right? Like when we got some stats here that the team have put together, but the market was only 1 billion, right? The RWA market was only 1 billion. In 2024, it grew to 2 billion, and then obviously now we are where we are with 20 billion in 2026. So we've grown massively over the last couple of years, but there's still a lot of, I guess, structuring to be done in regards to
Yes.
analytics and things like that.
Yeah, and
Cool.
you're also gonna see like hockey stick like growth as all these other
Yeah.
different companies come online, real estate developers come online, people who mine even just today talking about emerald mining in terms of tokenization or oil tokenization while it's still in the ground. So you're going to see this just exponentially explode. Then it really comes to the question, and you and I have talked about this a lot, Matt,
Yeah.
of, you know, again, what is considered like tokenized or an RWA? If something is
Yeah.
tokenized just so that its cap table management is tracked using a token, that's wonderful. But does it really give any benefits of tokenization? Like, yes, it hits under the TVL, kind of metric, but does it give any benefits if it's not a tradable asset that is accessible to, all retail or high net worth individuals or institutions?
Yeah.
If it's just tokenized and kept on chain, but not accessible, I think we need to start having different categorizations of, what is really tokenized and what's just using blockchain technology as cap table management.
I think you're 100% spot on there. I think that what the industry needs is a definition, like a detailed definition of what RWAs are, and platforms like CoinGecko and RWA XYZ that specialize in RWAs just need to adhere to it, right? And there should be like it's very clear if you're an RWA or not. So I think that slowly but surely the industry will get there as we move closer to it. But yeah, so obviously we want to keep these things short, X community. So basically we'll kind of move on to the highlights and news. So there's a few things that have been going on in the industry in the last week and the last month as well. One big piece of news that especially we wanted to speak about is BlackRock's tokenized market fund BIDL. So that is BlackRock's USD institutional digital liquidity fund. Has paid out 100 million in dividends since its launch in March 2024. Now the fund is valued at 2 billion, but this is something that's pretty big in the industry. Al, I know that you got a lot to say about this, so do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I mean, all the power to them again. In that, I think it's very interesting. It's a major feat, but something also that just to keep in mind is that the BIDL fund, I believe, is mostly U.S. Treasuries, right?
Yeah,
So it's a I don't want to say glorified money market fund because it kind of takes away from the fact that BlackRock has done this, that there's interest. You know what it is? It's
yeah,
the MVP pilot test case for showing that there is interest in it. The thing that I would like to see when it comes to tokenization is how many holders do you have? Who's buying them? Are
yeah,
people trading them? I don't really care in the sense of the speculative trading aspect. I care more about the mindset of, is there demand for this when people want to buy in and out and sell it rather than, is there liquidity for
yeah,
getting in and out of this asset? But more so, again, as a tokenized money market fund, BIDL's paid out $100 million. It's remarkable. Again, I don't want to take away from it because it's a first mover, right?
yeah,
But at the end of the day, this is the U.S. government paying out inflation of newly minted dollars. So
yeah.
it's
And it's funny, it's always
it's
easy to judge the first mover, but being the first
yeah,
mover.
exactly, 100%. It's always easy to talk smack, right? But I think something to keep in mind is that BIDL needs to become accessible to all investors. I think we're still, if I'm not mistaken, a bit far away from that. I'm gonna look it up now.
Yeah,
But until it could be on a DEX, then you start to ask yourself, it's like, okay, great, wonderful. It's oh, there we go. So BIDL is, yeah, you can instantly redeem it. So you can just redeem it directly to within, BlackRock themselves. But there's a minimum investment of $5 million for qualified purchasers. you didn't need blockchain to do this. I mean, it's a good cap table management tracking system. Don't get me wrong. So I really want to see Biddle expand to the point where it's offered to everybody, or utilized as collateral on lending on DeFi platforms, or you can go in and buy $10 worth of Biddle.
Well,
So that's
interestingly enough, like I actually grabbed a few things from the article that CoinDesk did, and shout out to CoinDesk. But basically, the way that the narrative spoke on the article was that this is basically serving as evidence that the blockchain-based finance is delivering institutional at scale, right? And that's kind of one of the things is that, you know, proving that it can go not just institutional, but actually to the wider public is a big thing. And then also as well, what I found really interesting, and I was kind of looking at this here, but I think what's more relevant to what we're just discussing now is that it's being used as an asset to be backed by, right? And it kind of quotes here that the product has also found use beyond passive yield. Biddle tokens have been integrated into crypto market plumbing, including the backing for stablecoins such as Athena's USDTB and collateral in trading and financing arrangements. That's a pretty big thing, right? Like, I mean, it's to have that scrutiny, but also trust is huge, especially after the, I would say, catastrophic scenarios that we've seen in that kind of field.
well, I mean, it's using Biddle to back Athena's stablecoin is kind of like using a U.S. Treasury to back USDT or
Yeah,
USDC, right?
yeah,
Now, so it's another form of that. Look, I love it. Don't get me wrong. All we need a ton more of it, but I want to see it get to the point where, you know, without a $5 million minimum, you and I can go buy it, or the Mavryk intern can go buy it, so that they can get yield on their dollars, just from everyday paychecks.
yeah,
But until then, yes, it is. So until then, it's a good step.
yeah.
I don't want to. I'm coming off as negative Nancy today. I really shouldn't.
I don't think so. I think you just kind of, like you always do. You speak your mind, and it is what it is. And I think that, realistically, also the audience need to have a different perspective on things, and I think you give a good perspective. So thank you for that. I think that's really good. But let's jump on to the next story. Crypto enters round 2 of institutional adoption, led by Morgan Stanley. This is done a piece in collaboration with Binance Research. Some really nice things that I got from this, and why we chose it as a team was that the key takeaway from recent Macro Weekly report by Binance Research, which pointed to the structural pivot underway across digital asset markets. The report highlighted potential drivers, including sovereign accumulation in emerging markets like the UAE itself, and legislative efforts in the United States to establish a strategic digital asset reserve. Now, what's really nice about this is that it's kind of leading all to in this narrative, and I'll kind of just highlight the other parts that I did, but Binance Research said that the early positioning could pressure rivals such as Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan to follow suit to avoid failing behind. And basically, what this is saying is to miss out on the plumbing that is the new financial infrastructure. And basically kind of went on to talk about this. But what's really nice about this piece is that it kind of highlighted something that, Alex, you said a while back when you tweeted BlackRock's head of crypto, Robbie Mitchnick, that was on Bankless, right? And basically that 2026 is really everyone's set up to prove that RWAs work. And more importantly, RWAs are at the forefront to prove that crypto can work in the real world, right? It's a huge year. I think it's not just 2026, it'll be 2026, 2027, 2028 that'll really serve as a platform to really show that this is the new financial system. And I'll kind of leave you there. What are your thoughts on that? I know that you have a lot of things to say about this.
Well, yeah, that's why I tweeted about it. But I really think that for a long time, people were the RWA industry. I remember far back as I think it was 2018, 19, when they were trying to get some hotel tokenizations off the ground. And it was like, remember, we used to call them security token offerings, and now we're trying to go with real world assets because security token legislature is It's obsolete. It's 100 years old, right? We need to update them. We're trying to regulate cars with the rules we used for horses. So, although ironically, you do tether your car to a charging post when you park it. I always like to make the joke that like, where do I tie my car? But now with electric cars, you actually plug in when you park them. So, I guess that one's kind of come full circle. But I really think that, at first, you don't know how many times I've heard over the years, like, oh, well, we tokenize this house as an NFT, so it's not a security. And I was like, oh, it doesn't really work that way. So, there was a lot of learning that needed to be done, even by our own industry. Now that our industry's kind of got their stuff together, and then institutions are coming
Well said,
in.
Alex. Well said.
I know, I'm so proud of myself.
I'm
So,
impressed.
yeah. And now that institutions, like again, circling back to BlackRock, for example, JP Morgan has a lot to say about RWAs as well. We're seeing basically every real estate developer in the UAE interested in tokenization. Everyone is interested in this. The technology is maturing. More importantly, is the teams behind the technology that have matured. Right, you're not getting a bunch of crypto bros going around being like, "Well, I tokenized your mom," because we've had that before, right?
Yeah, we had ridiculous things. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, it was insane. I mean, people were tokenizing each other's moms as NFTs and trading them in class.
Yeah,
Kids, obviously. But so what's ended up happening is like the technology's matured. More importantly, the industry and the people running the companies have matured, and institutions are now on board. So we're kind of moving to this place, and I've said this for a while. Tokenized real world assets are just assets that use crypto as a blockchain rails as a back end system. It's kind of like when we got digital music, right? When Napster and Kazaa and LimeWire came out. Not that I ever used any of those websites ever at any point in time. So we ended up like, oh yeah, it's an MP3 music player. I downloaded a new MP3. It's like, no, that's just a new form of a Walkman, like a music player. But now
yeah,
it uses MP3s as the digital way of getting that music. You didn't download an MP3, you downloaded a song. And we don't call it that anymore. Granted, we're streaming things instead of downloading them. But
yeah,
RWAs will just be the way we trade assets in the future. And I think 2026 is going to be the year where that kind of again sees that hockey stick growth,
yeah,
especially because I think the crypto industry, quite frankly, will mostly fail without it if it doesn't take over. Because there's only like, look, you've got 120 million tokens that have been minted. Cointelegraph or Coin Market Cap, not Cointelegraph or CoinDesk just put out an article saying that like 13 million of them have cryptocurrencies have failed. Again, they're not. Again, misnomer. They're not cryptocurrencies. They're speculative tokens. Like 99% of tokens are crap. So RWAs bring a legitimacy to using cryptographic tokens as
yeah,
trackers of ownership for real assets. Obviously, there are natively digital forms of value that are out there, right? Like
yeah.
Maven Finances, its own banking system has a token. Aave has its own token for its financial platform. So you're going to have those. But like meme coins and NFTs as art have mostly grifted and gutted our ecosystem. So RWAs are hands down the future of this technology, without a doubt.
100% concur with that. 100% concur. Okay, and then the last piece is actually the reason why we brought this piece in is just kind of look at an aspect of the macro point of view of what's going on in the world, and what's going on in the US with the World Central Bank rally behind Powell as the stress Fed independence. Basically, there's a few things that kind of came out of this, and it's really that obviously Powell's under scrutiny and under investigation for about 2.5 billion due to renovation of the Fed's headquarters. Obviously the government's behind this. There's a lot of scrutiny behind Trump around what's going on, but this kind of also this instability kind of really does kind of lean towards a better crypto market. And it's not a great thing that happens, but I mean, obviously from an economics point of view, you understand a lot more about how these economic factors impact the crypto industry. Usually, when something in the real world like this happens, inflation, is going higher or something like that. That's also positive for crypto. A lot of people kind of move in here. Right now, wars that are going on right now, that's also an impact on crypto. More in another way. So in your point of view, these types of macro stories that are happening right now, are they positive for crypto? Are they negative for crypto? What's your point of view?
Well, I think unfortunately, the dollar is in a situation is that you're effed if you do and effed if you don't, right?
Yeah.
The United States is in insane amounts of debt. It's like 39 trillion now. And so, well, let's look that up actually. So I have
Yeah.
an updated number on that. Um, and so what the problem is that they need to consistently lower rates because they need to refinance their debt. Now, the problem with lowering rates is effectively meaning that more money is going to flow into the system. Not only is more money going into the system, you're kind of seeing quantitative easing start again. So not
Yeah.
only are they lowering rates, which then people obviously will move money out of treasury funds, move them into other assets, which is great for assets. Everything's at an all-time high: gold, silver, real estate, Wall Street, well, except for crypto, but everything's at like an all-time high, and that's going to continue moving up as they lower rates because they need to in order to refinance their debt. But it's kind of like taking your credit card that's charging you 20% and then doing
Yeah.
a balance transfer to a zero interest card. That's effectively what the US is doing by lowering rates, right?
Yeah.
But the problem then becomes is that they're also flooding the system with money. They're also printing more money, and what you end up having is more hyperinflation. So they're effed if they do, and they're effed if they don't. I would like to stress though, if you scroll down a tiny bit, I don't think there's a single intelligent thing that Elizabeth Warren has ever said in her entire life. So if you're reading anything she says and you're taking it seriously, then
Oh, here we are. Yeah. I see what you're
yeah.
saying.
Um, so if you're if
We'll,
you're taking
we won't,
Elizabeth
we won't
Warren
edit this.
seriously
We'll
in
leave that one.
anything, what?
We won't edit this. We'll leave that one. Ladies and
No, I'm
gentlemen.
very happy to call it. I'm very happy to call it out. I mean, it's the most hypocritical, self-serving politician I've ever seen in my life. But it's yeah, don't take economic advice from Elizabeth Warren. That's
And there
probably
you go.
step
And
one.
and that's the news for the week there. So we'll just because we're jumping over time again, this is meant to be tight, but we know we're having a great conversation with Alex, and it's always great to have him on these. He's extremely busy, so we really do appreciate you being on with us, Alex. Look, number two, the last kind of part of what we're going to discuss today is our series on X called RWA Mindshare, guys. Sorry, real world Mindshare. X community. If you haven't seen this, really please go onto it. It's a brilliant piece of work that the team have done. It kind of comes back to what Alex was saying is, when we're looking at the analytics on RWXYZ and CoinGecko, and then if you look at what we use this for, these data points are the mindshare maps that we actually should look at CoinGecko team and grab projects from there as well to start analyzing them. But we mostly use Cato, that's being used by a lot of people, and then also Mavryk. So we use those two platforms to look at the mindshare maps on the RWA category. And that's why we start bringing them out to see, and not really scrutinizing in any effective way when we're writing about them. It's really kind of constructively looking and seeing what aspects do they do from an RWA perspective that from a Mavryk point of view, we define as an RWA, right? We have a very critical point of view of what an RWA is, and we only find it fair to really just kind of analyze each one
Well,
and say it as it is. And Al, do you want to add something to that?
well, yeah. I mean, Stellar seems to be kicking ass on this chart, but also look at Chainlink, and it's just empty when it comes to
Yeah.
RWAs. I love how the decentralized checkbox is not there. I think Edwin from Bricken will have something to say. But, it's funny. All I did was ask him a funny question about it. And he kind of don't think we click. But the Plume, you guys labeled Plume as a layer one.
Well, we got the facts from their documentation, so that's
Gotcha.
and we did caveat and we should caveat now that, guys, in all these projects, do your own due diligence, because this is all I can say is that Ondo, Injective, and Mavryk, from a hardcore RWA point of view, have not just the infrastructure, but also the products, right? They have the products there that are ready to go for people to use, right? So that's all I can say. The other ones, I'm not going to say anything about them, but just do your own due diligence, and look into it the same way that everyone should have looked into Mantra and gone, hey, what products do you have? What are the rails? What's in testnet? All these things, when you're looking at projects, you really have to ask those questions. You really have to dig deep and have something tangible that you can see, right?
Yeah.
If it's not on chain, it's not really there. That's a big point.
I think, yeah, that's actually, I mean, that's a great tweet, Matt. We're gonna have to use that. But just to, if it's not on chain, it's not really there. And unfortunately, if it is on chain, it might also not be there. So you also have to do your own due diligence to make sure they're connected. But no, I mean, Plume is still not a layer one. They say it is. It still runs on a layer two. I think that it's egregiously wrong to make things that are not correct. But it's
And by the way, constructively, and we speak to a lot of these projects. We won't call anyone out, but in regards to who we speak with, but we invite any of these projects to come and scrutinize our analysis and correct it, because we want to give right data to the industry as well, right? We don't want to, if we're wrong, we'll admit that we're wrong, and then we'll look at the proof, and then we'll fix it accordingly. But yeah, it's as simple as that. But
Matt's married. He, he's very good at admitting when he's wrong. So it's.
I think
we all are.
So are you, Alex?
Jesus Christ, intern.
Intern.
You got to jump in more. What's going on?
Intern, I feel like my wife would beg to differ, but
so funny. But look, X community, please have a look. The team do put a lot of effort into these analysis. There's two parts they do to this. It's just kind of going through, the Stellar analysis they did, the stable one, also the Maple Finance, and then here we've got XAUT. That's Tether's project, but really nicely, it not just covers what they do from an RWA point of view, but what chains they support. So that's on every tweet that we do. So it's really good analysis. And again, any projects that are looking at this, or anyone that's out there that knows a lot about this, want to correct anything, please drop a tweet, DM, or just on the comments there, and we'll fix it up from there. And that's pretty much it from there. What we'll end with is basically some product updates. So major milestones are happening next week, guys. Between next week, I'll just say circa next week, because we are on track. But basically, the live beta of the Mavryk Dex and Bridge will be launching, so that's absolutely amazing. Big shout out to the Mavryk dev team, always striving to complete things on time and really work very hard. So that's really nice. And big shout out to Sam that leads that team there. Additionally, we're on track to launch with our partner Multibank in circa March, April, and that's looking really good. We're really excited about that. Al, do you want to add anything to that? Obviously, that's one of the biggest things that we've got going right now.
On which one?
Multibank, our partner Multibank, launching in March, April.
Yeah,
Don't say too much. Don't say too much. Okay,
I can't. Guys, there's a lot of updates regarding that happening. There's a lot of integrations that are going on in the meantime in the background. As soon as they get checked off, we'll announce them. But it's definitely there's so much I want to say and show as this has been building.
I think let's just leave it to how excited are you?
I'm extremely excited. This is recorded and made public, so it's very. I have to be. There are things I can't say. Excited. I think excited is the word to really use for that. It's just that we can't let the cat out of the bag. So that's it. It's there's a lot happening. I'm double booked for meetings in 40 minutes from now, even on that subject. So good things are coming. That's about as much as I can say right now.
Alex, just want to thank you so much. I know your time's really valuable, and thank you for joining us today. Like, really good. We've gone over, guys, but it's been a really great segment. I think we've covered a lot. We've also educated you guys a lot on what's happening in the industry, what we think is important to know. Stay in tune. We're going to be doing this every 2 weeks, so please join us and ask any questions you have. The team are there to, interns here to make sure that she can ask any questions and stuff like that. But lastly, and that's it for today. Really thank you all for joining us. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and join Telegram if you have not already. And lastly, stay safe and be Mavryk. See you later, guys. See you, Al.
All right.
Take it easy.
See you, everyone.